Hello team.
Hi.
Thank you for accepting to participate to the Drum Brother. So I just wanted to ask you a few questions about your career experience. I know you've been playing a lot with Primus. You recorded some album with them. I just wanted to know if this kind of all this kind of experience you've been doing influenced your musical views and your technical way to play the drums.
Learning to play other instruments and attempting to sing, you get to know the point of view of the other people in the group, you know. So maybe when I was younger, I was probably trying to play drums more rather than play in a group.
Play for the other.
Yeah, you know, play with the people rather than, you know, just being trying to get fancy and do tricks. Or you know, I don't really do that stuff, but basically playing songs is what I do, you know, what I've done. And so, yeah, learning other things, you definitely get an understanding of what the other people are doing.
More points of view.
And then that affects, like that's one thing I do is I'll listen to vocals and I'll play, like keep the groove, but yet accent around maybe what a singer is singing so that there's no dead space. Or sometimes that you need dead space, but if the music calls for it, you know, I'll listen to the singer or I'll listen to the bass and we'll just be tight, you know, or the guitar, I'll follow more of what he does.
Cool, so.
Yeah. So it's rarely that I'm just doing my own thing. It's usually one or two people are always connected at least, you know, pretty rhythmically. As a kid, I would listen to Rush a lot. It was a big influence. And just, I would play to the records. And when I would do that, it was the same thing over and over, you know. And then I started learning how he created parts for every song. It wasn't just a beat. You know, he was being a musician, an artist, just like the other guys, you know. So it wasn't just keeping time like a, you know, hi-hat snare, you know.
Yeah.
He was creative, and so I think I picked it up there from Neil. Just trying to create each song, make it its own. Not always playing the same stuff over and over. And sometimes you can get, depending on the style of music, you kind of have limitations for that. You can't really get out too far, you know.
Yeah.
So within my limits, I try to make it interesting for myself and not, try not to do what's been done, you know. I don't even know that I need to play it. I think the biggest thing is looking at music. Well, let's just concentrate on the drums. So when I'm playing music or just starting with a song, I'm looking at it like a beginning, a middle, and an end. And now I look at it as if there's going to be peaks, there's going to be valleys, lows, or you could look at it like a wave, you know? It goes up and down and up and down. Sometimes you can do that within each bar of music, you know, or each 4 bars. You can make your little nuances change all the time. And I think that's kind of like my approach to everything, you know, is not playing everything the same volume all the time. And even, like I said, every bar, you know, there's little fluctuations in volume, you know, and accents happens, you know, writing a song.
Yeah.
But my approach to a beat, say if we wanted to just play a simple beat, you know, here's a kind of a straight groove. So now, that's a simple, straight ahead, one volume, nothing to it. Depending on the music, might determine where you add accents. You know, depending on what's happening.
Yeah.
But for me, when I would approach something like that, I don't like to do that. So something for me to play, a simple thing, would go something like this. That's just how it's hard for me to just kind of stay simple, you know?
Yeah.
Really tough. Just my attention wants to, there's things coming in and out, and you know, so controlling that is important. But the big thing for me really is leave yourself somewhere to go. In terms of volume and the amount of notes, don't come out super busy, because it feels like you're not treating it like an intro or a middle, and that way you don't have anywhere to go because you're playing so many notes, all you can do is get louder. And that only works 1 or 2 times, and it's uninteresting. But a lot of music is really flat these days, so for me, I don't enjoy that. You know, I like trying to have movement and dynamics and little subtle things. The ghost notes I use all the time. The little things. Why you might play toms as a rhythm rather than a hi-hat? They mean 2 different things. You know, they're not just there to put in between vocal lines or to make a change, you know. I use them intentionally, like you said, you know. I play with almost every note, you know. It's not that I write it beforehand, but whatever I'm playing kind of has a meaning. And it's really hard to put into words, you know, especially if it's just a drum set by itself. So that's where you can really kind of make your drums go with the melodies and the feel, like if it's minor, if it's kind of dark, you know. There's a way to play dark, and there's a way to play light. It depends on the sounds you might use. That kind of stuff is really where my head's at, you know.
Yeah.
And trying to bring a little life to something that might be monotonous.
Yeah.
And then if something's really busy, I remove myself or take away stuff so that it's not a continuous onslaught of, you know, a lot of stuff. Leave myself somewhere to go, you know, or just a counterpoint, you know, like do something opposite of what you might think should happen. That's kind of, you know, where my head's at. So one of the things I like to do is use the bass drum as more as something that has a little freedom. In playing a song, I've done a couple of songs like a Primus where the groove might be pretty simple, but what I like to do then is make the bass drum a little more lively, just to spice it up a bit, you know, but do it with the feet instead of, you know, it's always usually the hands that get to do stuff. So I might do, or this song I do this groove. So I use the full 8 bars. And that I kind of, in that song, I kind of made it apart so it repeats. But there's a little freedom to change it up after 8 bars, you know.
Yeah.
But that's kind of one of my things, using the bass drum a little more interesting than just, you know, keeping it, letting the hands do everything.